I call to order the workshop for Bullhead City School Board on Thursday, May 14th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. Roll call. Present Melinda Sobrowski.
Fred Rushton here.
Charlene Diaz here.
Barbara Zarzicki here.
Sheila Barnett here.
1.3, policies, sections E and F, policy advisory change 917 to 958. Oh my gosh.
Madam President.
Took forever.
Yes, and Madam President and board members, I thought I'd help you out by highlighting the things that were, how they changed things in these. I had some concerns because some of the things they were deleting, I wanted to make sure that we had them covered elsewhere, so I went through it pretty thoroughly. But yes, it's this big, long list of policies, and then there are regulations and exhibits, but we're not going to even consider those tonight. We won't even consider those until after the second reading of the policies. And
I'm only concerned with the ones you say that we don't have. There were two
right,
three of them?
right. But for not just for you all, but for the public as well. Yes, and we can look at those specifically if you want.
This could take forever.
Well, and I will tell you, these came out, this policy advisory came out in like September or October, and we've been so busy with other stuff we didn't get to it. Next month, we will look at section G, and it's 500 pages.
Oh my goodness.
It is the biggest section in the policy book. So I am going through
Break that
it.
into 3 parts, maybe?
Well, that would mean we wouldn't have it approved until August if we broke it into 3 parts. And some of those things some of the things in section G, we have to share with employees before the school year starts, or during that week before school actually starts. And those literally just came out, so it's not like we've been sitting on those. We haven't. So the good news in this is, because one of the things that I did was go look at, because there are some recommended changes in here for regulations as well as the policies. And there are 4 that when we get to them next month that I want to make some recommendations to you relative to whether we keep them or we keep our version or we go with theirs or whatever. So we won't address those tonight. We'll just talk about the policies. So Melinda says she wants to look at the ones with changes, and I highlighted those things, or that we don't have. I had notes on the side for those. So if you just scroll down, Cass, until we see the little note on the side that says we don't even have this one.
Right,
there you go. So we haven't even had this one in our policies that has to do with buildings and grounds maintenance. So Cass, if you'll go down to 926 so that we can look at it and have any discussion about it. Yeah, you'll have to. Yeah, there you go. Oh, it's ECB. There you go. Oh, that's EBC. It's ECB.
Some of these are towards the back, are printed on both sides, so you're going to flip a page and you won't see a signature.
Okay.
You've got to look on the back side of page 1.
So they've had this one before. This is not a new one, but apparently for whatever reason it's not been in our policy book. And so it seems to me to be a reasonable policy.
Yeah, when I read through this one, it was...
It's like, why did we not have it? Why did we not have it? Yeah.
Well, number one is why we didn't have it was because we didn't have the plumbing services and we didn't have...
Well, it doesn't matter. They still expect us to do these things, even if we didn't have it in-house.
That's true.
And in fact, the legislative, what's called the minimum adequacy guidelines require these kinds of things anyway. So, and even if they didn't, the trust does relative to our maintenance of our facilities. So this one seems to me to be a reasonable one for us to add. And then, I think there were only two that we didn't have.
72? Okay.
think there are
I
only
remember-
two.
I remember two, but then, when I was reading it, I was so flabbergasted.
Well, that one I have, yeah, the only reason I had that highlighted, the purple part, is that we can retain, on this one, on EDC, they were recommending taking out a piece of it, but then they also said we could retain that if it applied to our district. So that might be one you want to look at, that you all want to look at and discuss. So if you find that one, Cass. There we go. EDC. If you'd put in EDC, it might have taken you there. Oh, there it was.
You just missed
It was
it.
right there. Come on down.
Down one more.
One more.
There you
There we
go.
go. Okay.
District materials or equipment, okay.
So they added materials. They took out, the district shall not be in competition with any local business, and then renumbered any of these. But this is the one that they said, if the board wants to keep C in there, you can do that. So if you have any thoughts about it, we could make changes tonight before it gets read, second reading next month.
Well, we kind of make it a policy not to compete with local business. I personally think it should stay in there.
That would make it official,
Yeah.
that we not
Would you
compete.
guys stop for a second and
Yeah.
look at part C
I'm looking at it.
that they've stricken out? I think we can leave it in there.
I think we should.
Yeah, I think
I
we should
agree.
too.
Okay, so,
Okay, so when we bring because next month, for your second reading, we won't bring this annotated version, we'll bring the clean version. So
Okay.
we'll make sure we leave that in.
Okay.
okay.
That was C, yeah. I like it that they, for what it's worth, I like it that in D, that they put, as appropriate in terms of what we charge. Because there is a structure, a charge structure, but I will tell you that I'm very friendly to our partners in the community. If it has anything to do with kids, So even if it's some service organization that is doing a fundraiser, they want to use our facilities for a fundraiser, but they end up giving the money back to schools and to kids, I don't charge them rent. The only thing I charge them would be if it's on a Friday or a Saturday, charge them for custodial, or a Sunday. So I'm pretty liberal with that, and I've never really felt that you all would be opposed to that, because it has to do with kids. It's helping our kids.
Hey,
And it helps like Kiwanis. It would
Yeah.
help us to
Yes.
raise more funds to donate.
Exactly,
you
exactly.
know, the idea is we're a community here.
Yes,
Community helps each other.
Yes.
The village raises the kids. So
That's right.
We're part of that village. We got to be,
yeah, exactly. And they're our partners,
yeah.
so,
exactly.
we treat our partners well, because we want them to treat us well,
Yep.
Yeah,
right?
that's just the right thing to do anyway.
Yeah.
Exactly, it's the way we should do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we'll find the other
Find
little,
the second one.
I know, and there's another place where I have,
Keep going.
I know, but here's another one where I have a little
ECB.
note on, we looked at ECB already.
No, we didn't. We looked at EBC.
Oh,
Oh, gosh.
no, it was buildings and grounds. We looked at that. Yeah, that's the one we looked at. But I have a purple note on the next one, that they wanted to delete that one. And I marked it because we do have it, and I didn't know if you all might want to keep it. So, Cass, if you would look at ED as well, please. Doesn't like it, does it? She did. She put the policy name, and it didn't. Yeah, in this case, we want ED, though. Yes, because, yeah, it
Oh,
brings any
geez.
place that has ED. Yeah.
Policy, yeah, the word policy.
It
You're
just
just
has to
moving too
catch up with
fast.
you. Just has to catch up with you, that's all. There we go.
Well, this is the warehouse.
Personally, I think we should keep this one. We do have a warehouse,
Yeah.
and anything that's stated there does apply.
Yeah, why wouldn't you
Why-
keep
yeah,
this
why
if you
wouldn't
have a
you?
warehouse?
If we have it right now currently, we'll just
Yeah.
keep it.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay. We were at E. Yeah.
There are only 2 or 3 that have the
I only had a
purple
couple that that we don't
in it.
have.
Yeah.
I think
No
the other
other
one has to
purple.
do with hiring.
There you go.
Oh, there we go. Oh, naming facilities. Yeah, and I think we probably should have this policy. So if you, Cass, if you'd got it, please. Not that we're anticipating having any new facilities anytime soon, but
Well, that's the way all the schools have gotten named. Well,
we had and we had a procedure at the time, that involved kids' input and,
Mm-hmm.
and,
parents.
well, actually, it was, when we named Coyote and Diamondback and Mountain View, it was kids.
Was all
And
kids.
they nominated names, and the kids who were going to go to those schools voted, and then made those recommendations
There
to
you
the
go,
board.
right there. Add it back in,
Mhm.
because it says district may consider
Right.
community feedback.
Right.
Probably should say district should.
Yeah.
We'll go for may for right now. Got it?
Okay. So, yep, so, and then there should be another one that I marked that we don't currently have it, I think. I won't swear to that.
This is where if it was printed out, we'd have the little tabs.
Yeah, oh, okay, that was it? Yes, but I didn't think you wanted 130
No.
pages.
No,
No.
And I know you don't want the 500
100-page
pages.
one.
no,
I did those front to back, and, it's
it's crazy.
yeah, 250 sheets, so I know you don't want that. So, anyway, so those are good,
Okay, so
those are
double
good
F
feedback.
is going to be in our policy.
Yeah.
We'd like to keep that one.
Yep.
Is there any more purple in here? I don't remember there being
I
any more
don't remember there
purple.
being any more purple. I think we got the ones that. So do you like do you like that highlighting system? Did that help you in terms of reviewing these?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
Definitely.
Yeah.
okay, I will continue that with the section G when we get to it.
Thank you.
I started it for me, because I thought, because I wanted to know, because in section G, I was looking at it before I was looking at E, and there are some critical policies in G that they had marked for deletion. And they have to do with how we handle employee situations. And I thought, what are we gonna, where are these going? You know, they can't really go away, where are they going? And so I started marking them that way for me because I wanted to see, okay, if this policy is being deleted, where are the key pieces from this policy going? So that we know where they are. So,
Okay,
you
so
know.
we'll just, is there any more discussion on these 46 things or 40 whatever things? Is there more discussion? Okay, we'll vote on them then next meeting.
Next meeting, yeah, for those policies.
Item 1.4, revisions to JL student wellness regulations.
So, Madam President and board members, earlier this year, we had an audit of the food service program. And one of the things that came out of that was that we did not have a record that our student wellness policy and regulations had been reviewed in a timely manner. And so we put together a wellness committee. Jen was the chair of that, chaired that committee. They worked all this year to address the things that are supposed to be addressed relative to that, and made recommendations to me about some changes. As it turns out, I'm recommending that we not change the policy. The policy is fine the way it is, but I took all of their advice relative to the regulations, and their advice was all related to guidelines that they got from the Arizona Department of Education Nutrition Division to make these changes. So that's how this came about for these two policy changes. So I marked them the same way that ASBA does, struck through the parts that are going away, and underlined the new sections. Some of the things that are struck through appear, but they appear within the new sections, so that it would flow better and make more sense. So this is now in the agenda as part of my report to you. As you recall, you all said that rather than having to approve regulations and exhibits, that I could report them to you. But I wanted it in the workshop so that if you had some discussion about any of these or questions about how they came about, that we could answer them.
Keep going down.
Keep going down, please. Keep going,
Keep going.
keep going. Okay, that one.
Uh-huh.
School day. School day is defined as from midnight before school until 30 minutes after the last school-sponsored class, regular school day, or after-school programs, whichever is later.
That's right out of the law.
So in other words, now they have changed it so we can't have like at sporting events, you can't have a snack bar.
Yes, you can. But
That's down here a little bit farther.
yes,
down.
you can have a snack bar. It's just that if you, and this came up last year, okay, at Fox Creek, where when we still had, the year before last, when we still had 21st Century.
Yeah.
So we had 21st Century after-school programs going on, okay, and that's still considered part of the school day.
Right.
So there was usually an overlap of 30 minutes or 45 minutes of the sports activity and the after-school program. During that time, the snack bar had to sell smart snacks.
Yeah.
After that 30 minutes, after the end of 21st Century, then they could sell the other things that they might have in the snack bar.
So their after-school programs are not our sports programs.
No, we're talking about when you would have a snack bar open.
Yeah, because
We don't have a snack bar when they're just doing practices.
No.
It's
but
just
like
the
for
events.
Games and stuff.
Right.
Because when it said after-school programs, to me, that includes the sports
No.
teams and stuff. So
And
that's what I
yes,
was,
no.
That's what I was questioning, because
Yeah.
I'm going, wait a minute, that's a major fundraiser for a lot of.
Yes, it
you know.
is. Yes, it is.
And-
And they learned pretty quickly too that, and this I think surprised them, that kids would buy the smart snacks, in that 30 minutes. They wouldn't wait around to get the junk food.
Yeah.
They would come back and get the junk food later. But they would, because they were pretty smart in how they picked the smarts, the things that fit under smart snacks. So, yes, but that definition comes, and that's why I put the federal law and the state law both in there.
Yeah. But I thought it was from midnight until.
I know. It's like, well, are we going to have a snack bar at 6 a.m.? Well, some districts and some high schools might try to do either vending machines or some kind of fundraiser before school in the morning.
Now, see,
and they can't do that.
Years ago, when I was down in the valley, we used to do hot cocoa and stuff in the morning and that, because at that time we didn't have restrictions like this.
Well, some of these have been in place since 2011, and
But
so I think there were.
2011.
Oh, okay. And I know that even in this district there was some bending of the rules for a while. So, other questions or comments about these?
Nope.
The committee did a lot of work in there to be commended for all of the work that they did on this, on both of these, to expand them and to make sure that that going forward, we are following the law, that we have a survey every year of how well did we follow the wellness policy. That's the every year thing. And then the committee, or a committee, needs to meet every 3 years to review the whole policy and all of those things. So they were very comprehensive. Okay.
We'll vote and discuss and vote on that next time around.
Well, those you won't have to vote on. These are, I have in tonight's agenda as part of my report.
Okay. As part of the board.
As part of the report, superintendent's report, but I wanted you all to be able to weigh in on it, and if you wanted any changes, for me to make them.
It's a regulation. Not listening well. Item 1.5, adjourn the workshop. And I have a motion to adjourn the workshop.
Madam President, I make a motion that we adjourn this workshop.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. I'm Melinda Sabrowski.
Fred Rushton, aye.
Charlene Diaz, aye.
Hi, Barb Zarzicki.
Hi, Sheila Burnett.
Okay. Well, we have about 5 minutes before we start the budget hearing, so. And I don't have a
Yeah,
note
that's
to.
not nice.
Ready?
Yes.
Ready as
Okay.
we're ever gonna be.
I'm calling to order the public hearing for the revision number 4 of the fiscal year 26 expenditure budget pursuant to ARS 15948C and D, 15905, 15905.101, 159.962 Part D, and 1103C for review of the fiscal year 2026 expenditure budget.
Madam President and board members, first of all, correction on the agenda for the people in the audience. There's a typo. It is the fiscal year 2026 budget, not the 2025 budget. That's a typo. So, Cass, if you would show our budget, please. So just a couple of comments, and before anybody might want to say anything from the audience or from the public. Excuse me. These changes were made based on the information shared with me from the data from the 15th of April, because we've not gotten to the 15th of May yet, and this has to be turned in by tomorrow. So it's changed some from revision 3 that I asked you to approve last month, partly because some funds have gone down when they announced to us what the final payments would be. And then we also know that we have some other budgets which have to zero out at the end of the year. And we know that right now they are in the red. So I incorporated covering those. There are 2 of those budgets, child care center and teacherage. And it's not because we're not making it, for teacherage, it's not because that we underestimated the cost of operating the houses. It's because we were still doing some of the landscaping work, and we know we will recoup those funds next year. The child care center, because of a lot of those changes in emergency funding or pandemic funding that helped parents be able to get assistance for childcare, those expired, and so some of our employees no longer qualified for those. I'm not particularly concerned about that. I view the child care center, and I think you all do too, because you've made it pretty clear to me, as an employee benefit, and that it is worth us maintaining and retaining as a program. So I adjusted this budget to cover those 2 budgets that were in the red.
How much did we have to cover?
Total between the 2 about 80,000, 80 to 85,000, I think, something like that. And as I said, for the teacherage, we will recoup that. Other than that, you can see our changes in any of these lines. And one of the things I would like to point out, mostly for the public, simply because school districts get a lot of bad press about administrative costs. And so I really would like for you to look at the line. It's about the 5th or 6th line. It's 2,300, the one that has 2,300, 2,400, 2,500 administration. And those costs in that line. In the actual budget, 2,300 is the governing board and the superintendent budget. And it always looks outrageous because that line, that one line, 2,300s, includes the liability and property insurance costs that the district pays. So I mentioned a month or so ago that we pay about $500,000 in liability and property insurance. And so it makes that line look really crazy because it also includes my salary, Cass's salary, and any expenses we have for you as a board. So, for instance, when you go to workshops and those kinds of things, which we encourage you to do and want you to do. But the total on that line looks huge, and it's mostly because of that insurance. And of course, when people are complaining or criticizing us for administrative expenses, they don't particularly know that that's one of those things. So I do want to mention that. In the way it's presented here in this summary, 2324 and 2500 administration includes district administration, principals, assistant principals, clerical staff in secretarial staff, and business office staff. So a heck of a lot of salaries are in this $2 million, in this $2 million, but $500,000 of that is insurance. And if I can, I'll try to answer any other questions you might have.
Do we have any questions?
Cass, you want to show page 2, please?
Are we going to, okay. I don't
If
any
you have
que-
questions about this,
I
sure.
don't have any questions on 23, 24, and
Mhm.
25. I still have questions on the daycare center.
Mm-hmm.
I know that it's part of our employee benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that, and I know it's important to us. What do we plan on doing so that we don't
Good question.
have that much in the red?
Sure. Mrs. Leindecker and I have already talked. We will be increasing the rates particularly for non-Bullhead City School District employees to better cover some of that. We're trying not to, but trying if we can possibly swing it, not to increase the rates for our employees. But if we need to do so, we will do so. And bring those recommendations to you next month relative to those changes, so that we can maintain that, maintain and bring back those that coverage.
How many non-Bullhead employees do we have?
Oh, children
Yes,
from
yeah.
non-employees. I hate to say because I'm not really on top of that right now. I'm going to guess between 5 and 10. Okay, and even when we increase, we will still be less than than some of the other childcare
Yeah.
in the community. And of course, it always depends on what children are in the right age ranges. I frequently say when I see parents at school events and they have preschoolers with them, and I always say to them, "Oh, job security for us." So I will tell you that our employees are giving us some childcare security for next year. So we have kind of a baby boom going on in our employees for right now. So we're hopeful that will help us out some. And then the second page breaks things down, other things down for you. I always find it interesting that these 2 pages of summary report combines data in a way that's just not directly related to the actual budget document. And so I always look at it and then think, okay, what's going on here? The one of concern here to me is you can see the huge drop in federal projects.
We kind of thought that was going to happen.
We did, yes, we did know.
Does anybody in the audience have anything they want to say or any questions? Can we? Is anybody online, can they call in and ask?
We don't have anybody online. No, they can't, because
Okay.
it's just, we're streaming.
Okay, so,
And you,
All right.
so you could end the, you could end the hearing if you want, whenever.
yeah, we will. I need a motion to adjourn the budget hearing.
I make a motion, we adjourn the budget hearing.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, motion passed.
All
You
those
haven't
in
voted.
favor?
No, we haven't voted yet.
No.
I, Melinda Sabrowski.
I, Fred Rushton.
Charlene Diaz.
I, Barb Zarzicki.
I, Sheila Burnett.
Okay. Item 3.1, call to order. There we go, regular meeting. I call to order the regular meeting for Bullhead City School Board on Thursday, May 14th, 2026 at 6:07 or 6, what is it?
608.
I don't know what's on the wall over there, 6:08. Roll call, President Melinda Sabrowski.
Fred Rushton here.
Charlene Diaz here.
Barb Zarzicki here.
Sheila Burnett here.
Would you please stand and say the pledge with me?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Citizens present, we appreciate you signing in and letting us know that you're here. Do we have anybody who wants to speak? Okay. Item 3.6. Oh, my goodness. Donations.
Holy.
Wow.
Where did Lance Ross get 75 bars of soap?
He's been saving them. He hasn't been showering for 2
Obviously.
years.
That's what it is, yeah. Did a lot of these things happen at the employee breakfast? Or employee lunch, excuse me, it was a lunch? No?
The bottom one, the
That's the
bottom
bottom
section
one.
is the employee luncheon. Everything above that, or most of what's above that, were donations for Teacher Appreciation Week. Except for the 75 bars of soap.
That's a lot of soap. Thank you to board members who contributed to this. Nice of you to do that. Guess it was Sheila and Barb.
Mhm.
Thank you very much, ladies.
You're welcome.
Indeed.
The rest of us should have been in on that too. I guess I missed that somewhere along the line. Excellent. I cannot believe how the community comes forward for us. Thank you, everybody out there. This is just perfect. It's just perfect. Thank you.
We have a great community that steps up.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Going on, gotta get through all that stuff. Item 3.7, adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
I make a motion, we adopt the agenda as presented.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor? I, Melinda Sabrowski.
I, Fred Rushton.
I, Charlene Diaz.
I, Barb Zarzicki.
I, Sheila Burnett.
Item 3.8, superintendent's reports.
Madam President and board members, you see the typical reports. I would like to point out, you've looked at JLRA and JLRB. I would like to point out GCBDA-EA, which is our district housing rental agreement. And now that we've completed year one, Mrs. Gaston, who is kind of the person in charge of our rentals from our business office, had some suggestions. And so you can see those. Rather than have a separate contract or a separate rental agreement for year two, we just added this little thing at the top just to check mark, is this year one or year two? They have to do it each time, each year, but at least then we've got a way of marking that. Cass, if you'll scroll down, the rental amounts are there, $1,300 for the whole house, $550 for the master bedroom that has its own bath, and $375 per month for the other two bedrooms in each of the houses. We have done very well this year, even though we did not have anybody in House 1 this entire year. We more than met the expenses for operating the three houses. And then on page 2, under deposits, one of the things that occurred to us was, simply because renters asked, which was good, do the deposits roll over from year to year? And yes, they do. Once they've paid a deposit, it stands as long as they're there. And then somehow or other, we had missed in the board policy book version of this rental agreement. Cass, if you'll scroll on down, please. Somehow we had missed the section on children. It is in the actual document we had our employees sign this year, but somehow we missed it in here. So that got added in.
There's a mistake I noticed.
Yep,
Oh, wait.
spelling error.
Yeah, spelling error.
Okay. Let's, so we can get it corrected. Property. No, where is
Oh,
it?
their children
Children
and.
Oh,
and.
children. Oh, and.
and
Ooh,
the premises.
and yes, okay, on the premises. So we'll get that fixed.
Oh, that should
Thank
be on
you.
the premises, okay.
Yeah.
To be on.
I think that's the only thing I noticed out of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Sounds like a really decent deal.
And it's worked out well. It's worked out well. I don't think there are any other changes down below. Were there, Cass? No, I think that's it. So I wanted you to be aware of, that we were making this change and getting ready. And part of it was when Becca brought me this for us to talk about, she also brought me all the numbers so that we could determine whether I was going to come back to you and ask for an increase in the rent for next year. And since since what was paid more than covered the expenses, I don't see any reason at this time to raise it. Okay? Let's see. A couple of updates for you. One is we got information about all of the EL testing results. And once again, we have exceeded the state expectations for either reclassifying students or them moving up, from one category to another. So our EL teachers are doing an amazing job with our EL students. So that's a big celebration for us. Secondly, our hiring process, we're in really good shape on hiring. Yeah, Jen? Jen's knocking on wood. Many of our positions are filled. And there are very few positions for which we have no applicants. And that has not happened for several years. So that's a really nice thing. To be able to pick up a music teacher, to be able to pick up an art teacher, to be able to pick up some of those fill some of those tough positions this time of year has been really nice. And that's a good thing. And then a really good news today, it won't be official until Monday, but we did learn about an hour and a half ago that all of our proposals for the competitive state safety grant, all of our proposals are being recommended for approval by the State Board of Ed. Awesome. So that means 4 counselors, a school resource officer, and a new position in our district, which is a social worker for Coyote Canyon. So
Yay.
Nice.
we are ecstatic about that.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's great.
Yeah, because, as I said, it's a competitive grant, and we knew there were lots of districts out there. Jen worked really hard to get our application in early, and did that with a help from the principals and everybody else involved at the time when they wanted a whole bunch of extra information that they had not told us they wanted until they put out, let us start working on the grant. So our folks all scrambled around, got all that extra information. It got submitted with our proposal, And either the day of or the day after it was submitted, Jen got an email from the grant management office saying, oh, we realize that that's too much to ask for, so you don't have to do all of that.
Well, that was nice of them,
Yeah,
after you got it all done.
after it was all done. So Jen shot off an email to them, a very professional sounding email saying, for those of us who did it, can we get some priority, please?
Do we get extra points for it?
Do we get extra points?
Give us extra credit.
And so we kind of think maybe we did. It doesn't matter, we're just really excited to know. It won't be official until after the State Board of Ed meeting on Monday, but that's significant because it's well over 200,000. Yeah, Jen?
We need to recognize Amanda
Awesome.
for all of her work. Because Amanda did a lot of the pulling together of that extra
Yes.
information.
Yes, thank you for reminding me. Yeah, when Jen was hit with that, it happened that Amanda was in a place in her work that she could take it on. She said, how can I help? And she took it on. So, and she even did legwork. I mean, she went out to the individual school sites and bugged them for information and all of that stuff. It always takes a team. It always takes a team. But it's really nice when we have folks who are not necessarily directly connected, but in a way Amanda is, since she's our emergency our emergency command person. It was important to her for us to have the SRO and to have the counselors and everybody. So we're pretty excited about all of that. So if you have questions, I'll try to answer.
I don't think so.
I'd just like to give an official attaboy to both Jen and Amanda for what they managed to accomplish, because it's amazing, and we know we need that, but you guys are really great at that, and you're very good at what you do. We appreciate you a whole lot. So thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Yeah. Okay, item 3.9, board member updates. Sheila and I and Barb went to Department of Education workshop, and I brought these back for you and Charlene. This is basically, and I brought one back from Carolyn too. Carolyn has one.
Thank you.
And I'm hoping that you share that with whoever needs to
I will be
share
happy
it.
to.
Basically, this is what we did, and it was really a full day.
It's an excellent workshop.
And I think we found that because of the mix of the group that was there, because there were fewer board members there than there were
Superintendents.
other people.
Yeah.
Superintendents or, there were a couple counselors there, there were.
There's a principal.
Yeah.
A couple
there were
principals
all
and
over.
stuff.
I think that we were sitting with Darylyn.
Oh, Darlene Brown?
Yeah, Darlene Brown.
Darlene Brown. And she was sort of working with us, and it was kind of interesting that that we sat there together. We were wishing that there were more high school board members there, but she was basically saying she was it for now, but she's looking forward to more too. I kind of wanted to do this because I wanted to see the difference between an ASBA training and a Department of Ed training, and I really didn't see a whole bunch of difference. ASBA is a little more relaxed, a little less tie and suit.
Yeah.
But other than that, they pretty much did the stuff. And this is the same training as we have gotten in the past. It was a good reminder of everything that we should know and all that. We had two things that came out of it. One was that there was a book, and the book was,
There was a bunch of good books in here, so even the two she's mentioning, look for the books because I thought they were pretty helpful.
I got the first, something about great. What was the name of the book? I'm sorry, I should have this done. Great on Their Behalf. And we walked away with the idea that maybe our county superintendent could put forward a training or a book study on this book. And the parts that I've read about it, or read in it, are really pretty good. It's a a book where you read some and you do some. Read some, do some. So it's a pretty good thing, and I'm hoping she was,
Darlene was gonna look into it.
she was going to look into talking to Mr. Warren to see if he would be willing to do
Like
that.
do a
If not,
Zoom meeting type book club thing, so that everybody could.
if not, I think we could run one, you know, where we just meet on Zoom for an hour a month until we get through a book. It's just, it would be an interesting idea. Anyway, got that done. And the other thing that we found was that we are not going out as board members into the community other than going to church or going to women's council or going to wherever we happen to meet people. But we came up with whole bunches of Post-its with different places on them that we could possibly go to discuss what's going on in schools or answer questions. You know, get up and say, I'm from the school board and I'm here to answer any kind of questions that you guys might have. And so I think in addition to encouraging me, that's wrong English, encouraging us to go into the schools at least once a month, we should maybe be trying to get into some organizations. And Sheila has this all written out in beautiful form that she's going to send us, and I would suggest that we try and meet one of these groups where they're at. Does that make sense to everybody? Just to promote Bullhead schools.
And like they brought up is, you know, the board members get together and decide who's going, so you don't have to worry about quorums and stuff at the different functions. Just have, you know, one board member going to each of the different organizations or something, so that
One
then
or
there's-
two, depending.
Yeah, one or two, and
They-
then you don't have the.
They actually recommended the superintendent and a board member
Yeah.
go, is
Yeah,
what
they
they
did
said, to
that.
go together like a
Good.
unified front,
So, you know, it's something for us to consider as part of our goals for the new school year. They might consider that.
And Melinda, you and I both talked about, since we're running on the ballot, that we may use that as a way to get into the community too. Because we're running, hey, we're running, would you like to ask us questions, or do you have any suggestions, or that kind of thing?
Yeah, and we have the group that we have.
Mhm.
We have our advisory group, but this way we'd be meeting many more people, and it would just be something to think about. So that's what we kind of came back with. Did Barb or Sheila, did you have anything else to add?
Well, we did. We also talked about the fact that one of the questions they asked is, what does your community expect your school district to achieve with the students by the time they're done with our time? What do they think is important? And I thought that was an awesome question, because what do we really know what the average person expects us to expect from the kids? So that was one of the things that I've kind of been, I'm lucky enough, I have patience that I can ask. So I've been trying to ask questions about that. Because has it changed in the last 20 years or 30 years? I mean, technology is completely different. And I feel the way that we teach our kids is different. So that's one of the things that I'm personally going to be trying to do, is see what the community has to say.
And I think that would be a good opening question,
Mm-hmm.
you know, when we meet with Kiwanis or Rotary or the police department or whoever we would meet with, all those Post-its that we made.
It was a full typewritten page,
Yeah.
2 columns.
And so if you would get that to us, then we can start thinking about it.
Yeah, I had it all uploaded and ready to hit send, and something happened.
Uh-huh. So you're working. Everybody else is working too. Okay, any other updates or things that we've done? I got to read the kindergarten 3 classes of kindergarten at Sunrise. They contacted me on email and said, would you come up and read? And I said, okay, what books would you like to have? So I went to Target and bought 3 kind of cool books. And 2 of the books kids had not read before.
Nice.
The one book they could recite from heart, but yeah. It was fun. I enjoy that so much. I wish more they would ask me to do that.
Yesterday, I went to Diamondback for their career day. And so I got to spend about 2.5 hours with 5 different groups of kids.
Oh,
And that was, it was really cool. The questions they asked or the statements they made, and it was just kind of neat. And I started off with who knows what the school board is. Because remember, we had a video when we went to that training, and the kids were so comical, they had no clue. So I figured I'd at least tell them, hey, if you see me walking around, say hello, because I'm here to try to help you. And so that was kind of a neat thing that I was able to do. So it was a lot of fun yesterday.
The only other thing I did is I went to Desert Valley to the first or second? I think it was first grade program. And it was so packed that I was stuck in the way back going like this. But the kids were having a good time. The parents were having a good time. I sort of walked out feeling really happy. I needed that at the time. I needed that positive experience. It was really, really kind of neat. So we just need to get out there and be with the kids and the parents and other staff members. Okay?
Oh, we
Any
did
others?
enjoy a nice luncheon with the faculty and stuff for the teacher appreciation
Oh,
week and stuff.
that was good too.
That was very good.
That was good food. That
Mhm.
teriyaki chicken was really, really, really good.
Chartwell did a very good job on that luncheon.
Yeah.
Well, everybody who put it together did really
Yes.
well. I was very impressed with the games they
Yes.
came up with and all of the prizes that they could win. And I loved the fact that I walked in there and I was like, there was not a seat to be had, really.
Yeah.
And I was impressed with the fact that the employees actually all seemed to want to be there and participate.
They did. They wanted to participate in those
Yeah.
games. They just really did. It was really kind of neat. And I did not stay for the awards. Can you kind of tell us what happened with the awards?
Well, we recognized folks for 5, 10, 15? 5, 10, 20, 25, and 30 years in the district. And then recognized 3 people who are retiring from the district this year. And so, that's always fun to recognize people who have been around and not just seen the changes, but have been part of the change, but have been dedicated to the district, and that's really good.
Thank you.
Sure.
I should have stayed around for that. I just didn't. Okay. Item 4.1, 8th grade promotion. It says here that 8th grade promotion ceremony is going to be at Anderson Fieldhouse on Tuesday, May 19th, 2026 at 9 a.m.
And it's 9:30.
Oh, it's 9:30?
Yeah, the doors open at 8:30, and the
30.
and the promotion starts at 9:30.
Okay.
Oh, you got it
So
from
we
the
have
website?
some time to
It
decide.
may not have been accurate from the website.
Okay.
Fox Creek, maybe? I learned today that Fox Creek's website has not been kept up until recently. So, anyway, 9:30 to start, but 8:30.
People get there at 8:30 because the parking gets really hard.
It does get hard. It does get hard. And sometimes it's easier to park in the back
Yeah.
and walk in that back door.
That's what I do.
there is no walking in the back door. Oh, you guys,
Yeah,
but
us.
that's for everybody else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
us walking
No,
through
You're
that door.
standing
For
back
us to
there
come
saying,
in.
no, 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 no.
Yeah, Kate's been,
I flashed my name badge.
Yeah.
there you go.
That's the one time we remember to wear our name badge. Yes.
Kate's been working with Mrs. Vogt and Miss Sharp to get the promotion ready, and So it's really nice when, I will say it's nice for me when I know I have folks who are just going to take care of the business and I don't have to worry about it. So, but we got kind of an update from them the other day, so we know that it's all ready to go.
Okay.
Okay?
It's not in here, but I know I'm supposed to do something with the consent agenda, as in, is there any, do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Jen, or Cassie, will you pull up administrative reports, please? Let me see if I can. I was looking for Amanda's. Yeah. Can you pull up Amanda's administrative report?
Wait a minute, we got it, no. Are you going to pull that one so that you
Yeah,
can
I
talk
want to
about
pull
it?
that one.
Okay, so we'll pull administrative reports. Is there anybody else who would like to have something pulled?
So I make a motion, we accept the consent agenda as presented, except for administrative reports 5.2.
Question, do we have to do anything with 5.9?
Not when it's part of the
No, that's part
consent
of the consent.
agenda. I mean,
Okay.
you know, if you have questions about it and would like to discuss it, you could pull it.
No, I just didn't
If
know.
it's part of the
Okay.
consent agenda, it's just a blanket thing.
Got it.
Unless you want to pull it. Do you want to pull it and talk about it?
Nope.
Okay. So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, thank you. I have a motion that says we're going to approve the consent agenda except for administrative reports, which Barb would like to talk to. I'm Melinda Sabrowski.
I, Fred Rushton.
Charlene Diaz.
Hi, Barbara Zarzaki.
I, Sheila Burnett.
Okay, Barb?
Okay, can you open? Yes. We looked at this before, and I think it just didn't get changed. But on the disciplinary hearings by the hearing officers, totals, we have 19, then we have 9, and then our grand total is only 1. I haven't figured out how we go from 19 to 9 with a grand total of 1.
I noticed that today when I was looking at it as well. The good news is that the numbers across the bottom and the 19 plus 9 plus 1 really do add up to the same thing, which is 29. So.
Okay. No, I just saw that, and that was,
Yes,
it wasn't anything major, but I saw that, and I'm going, wait a minute, these numbers are not adding up right
Yeah,
here. So-
exactly.
Well, we
Yeah.
have this up. How does this compare to last year's?
It's fewer than last year.
I was going to say, I
Yeah.
don't think we've seen very many kids.
The unfortunate thing is you don't have the main numbers there, and we have some kids who've gone just a little over the over the line this month. So by the end, I'm not quite sure where we'll be, but it's it's less than it's fewer than last year.
Okay.
So do I have a motion to accept the administrative reports?
I make a motion, we accept the administrative reports with the correction on the math on that one.
With the correction, right?
I'll
Yeah,
second
okay,
the
math
motion.
correction.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor? I'm Melinda Sabrowski.
I, Fred Rushton.
Charlene Diaz.
Hi, Barbara Zarzaki.
I, Sheila Burnett.
So you guys, we do read your reports.
Yeah, we do. Okay, I'm looking for,
6.
oh, there it is, the approval of the consent agenda. It's even got a little tabbing thing on it. I knew I had to do something with that. There is no old business, so we're into new business. 7.1, convene into executive session for the request of non-retention pursuant to ARS 38431.03A2, discussion or consideration of records exempt by law from public inspection, including the receipt or discussion of information or testimony that is specifically required to be maintained as confidential by state or federal law. Do I have a motion to move into executive session?
I make a motion, we convene into executive session.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor? I'm Melinda Sabrowski.
I, Fred Rushton.
Charlene Diaz.
Hi, Barbara Zarzaki.
I, Sheila Burnett. Turn into public session.
Second,
I second.
all those in favor? I, Melinda Sabrowski.
I, Fred Rushton.
I, Charlene Diaz.
I, Sheila, oops, sorry. I, Sheila Burnett.
I, Barbara Zarzicki.
Jumping the gun now.
Oh, you don't want to be left out again.
Do we have a motion for what we just experienced?
Yes, Madam President, I move that this board would support the non-retention,
You mean?
or I'm sorry,
The retention.
The
support
retention.
the retention for student 60820.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor? I, Melinda Sabrowski.
I, Fred Rushton.
I, Charlene Diaz.
I, Barbara Zarzicki.
I, Sheila Burnett.
Item 9.2, whoops, excuse me, that's not right. Because I have item 10.1.
No.
9.3. You're all right. 9.3.
9.3. Sorry, guys. I'm having trouble, probably should just take these off and read it. I need a motion to convene into executive session for a request of non-retention pursuant to ARS 38-431-03A2, discussion or consideration of records exempt from by law from public inspection, including the receipt and discussion of information and testimony that is specifically required to be maintained as confidential by state or federal law. I need a motion, please.
I make a motion we convene into executive session.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor? I, Melinda Sabrowski.
I, Fred Rushton.
I, Charlene Diaz.
I, Barbara Zarzicki.
I, Sheila Burnett.
Okay. Motion to reconvene to public session.
I make a motion we reconvene into public session.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor? I'm Melinda Sabrowski.
I, Fred Rushton.
I, Charlene Diaz.
I, Barbara Zarzaki.
I, Sheila Burnett.
Okay. Do I have a motion for retention or non-retention?
I make a motion that we retain student number 20804.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor? I'm Melinda Sabrowski.
I, Fred Rushton.
I, Charlene Diaz.
I, Barbara Zarzaki.
I, Sheila Burnett.
Okay. Item 11.4, classroom site fund plan. for-
Could we do 11.3, please?
I'm sorry?
Could we do 11.3, please? The budget?
I guess so. That's due tomorrow, isn't it?
It is due tomorrow. yes.
11.3, revision of number 4
Bless you.
of a series of 12 for fiscal year 26 expenditure budget. Do I have a motion?
Thank you,
to-
guys.
It's against the law.
Do I have a
Excuse me.
motion to
Thanks.
approve?
Madam President, I make a motion that we approve revision number 4 of the fiscal year 26 expenditure budget.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor? I'm Melinda Sabrowski.
I, Fred Rushton.
I, Charlene Diaz.
I, Barbara Zarzaki.
I, Sheila Burnett.
Okay, now. Item 11.4. I hope you guys don't learn any numbers bigger than 13 or whatever it is that we have to. Did you guys all get to read the site
I did, yep.
fund performance stuff?
Yes. Same as last year's.
It is very
Couple-
much, yes, the
Yeah.
only thing
Minor
that's
changes.
changed are the dates.
Just
Dates.
dates.
Yeah.
Yes. And it has been approved by over 70% of the teachers.
Do I have a motion, or is there any discussion?
No.
Do I have a motion
I
to
make a,
approve the classroom site fund plan for school year 26, 27?
I make a motion we approve the classroom site fund plan for the school year 2026 to 2027.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor? I'm Melinda Sabrowski.
I, Fred Rushton.
I, Charlene Diaz.
I, Barbara Zarzaki.
I, Sheila Burnett.
Going in numerical order, 11.5, Touch Math Program.
Madam President and board members, we're recommending Touch Math as a supplemental program next year. And it has been on display. No, not on display. Yes, on display. But it has to be on display until May 19th, which is next week. I'm sorry, the 18th. And so we don't want to wait another month to order because we'd like things to be here for the beginning of school year. So we're asking you to give pre-approval to this program unless there are objections from the public relative to the display, the 60-day display.
Is it, did they pilot? Did they do
We
it?
didn't, we have used Touch Math in the past, and we know it's an effective program. It is research-based, and as a supplemental program, this is a way for us to address a number of the deficiencies that we are seeing from our math screener, now that we have one in place, and we've used it, as I say, for years in the past. We just have not used it
It's a
in
good
the most
program.
recent years. It's a very effective program.
How much is it going to cost us?
grant funded?
It is grant funded, and Jen will have to give you that answer. Yeah, this is a grant funded.
Okay.
I think it's roughly 40,000, and it's a lot for this year because we need manipulatives. And then after this year, it's just for the platform. So it's all between IDEA and Title I.
Do I have a motion to approve using Touch, or purchasing the program Touch Math, depending on whether there's public
Concerns?
concerns?
Madam President?
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
Madam
I'm sorry,
President?
Did I say, okay, yeah, I get it, okay.
I think you did. Madam President, I would make a motion that we would support and approve this Touch Math program pending results of the public's input,
Thank you.
and authorize the purchase of the program through the grant fund after the May 18th
Okay.
expiry date.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor? I'm Melinda Sabrowski.
I, Fred Rushton.
Aye, Charlene Diaz.
Hi, Barbara Zarzicki.
I, Sheila Burnett.
All right. 11.6, is it Savas?
Savas, mhm.
The Savas Experience Science Program.
Madam President and board members, if you recall, in a discussion last month when we talked about capital outlay, and I was asking for approval of some very big expenditures. One was for this science program K through 8, and I think it's K through 8. Yeah, K through 8. We have it on display. The 60 days expire on June 2nd. So, I'm sorry, June 1st. And this is a biggie, so, we'll want to get right on an order so that we have these things here before school starts. So once again, I'm asking for your approval for this science program itself, the program, effective June 2nd, provided there are no public objections.
Do I have a motion to approve effective June 2nd, 2026, provided no public objections are received during this review period for the Savas Experience Science Program?
Okay. I'll move to approve effective June 2nd, provided there's no public objections are received during the review period for the Savas Experience Science Program.
I
Is there-
second it.
Okay, all those in favor? I'm Melinda Sabrowski.
I, Fred Rushton.
Aye, Charlene Diaz.
Hi, Barbara Zarzicki.
I, Sheila Burnett.
Okay, continuing in numerical order. 11.7, auditing contract pending state approval.
Madam President and board members, we put this out to bid. This is a 5-year contract for audit services, and Hafen Buckner, the auditing firm with whom we have done business for at least the last 10 years, had the low bid and is being recommended to you. So I'm recommending approval of this contract.
Do I have a motion to approve the auditing contract?
Madam President, I would make a motion that we approve the auditing contract as presented.
Pending state,
Pending
I'm sorry,
state
pending
approval?
state approval.
Pending state approval, of
Mhm.
course.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor? I'm Melinda Sabrowski.
I, Fred Rushton.
Aye, Charlene Diaz.
Hi, Barbara Zarzicki.
I, Sheila Burnett.
We're doing a lot of pre-approvals tonight. 11.8, pre-approval of Diamondback Concrete Replacement Contract.
Madam President and board members, this has been in the works for quite a while. We have sidewalks and various concrete things at Diamondback that need replacement. This is being paid for, or would be paid for, by the School Facilities Division. But because it is over $100,000, I need to bring it to you as the board to approve this contract.
Do I have a motion to approve the Diamondback Concrete Replacement pending contract bid award?
I make a motion to approve the Diamondback concrete replacement contract pending bid award.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor? I'm Melinda Sabrowski.
I, Fred Rushton.
Aye, Charlene Diaz.
I, Barb Zarzicki.
I, Sheila Burnett.
11.9, Sections E and F, Policy Advisory Revisions, first reading. We did this during our workshop, and we will be voting on it
Next month.
next month. 12.1, future topics. Anybody? Nobody? Okay. Is there a chance that you could help Darylyn with John Warren and see about getting a book study?
Sure. Be happy to.
Because she's probably fighting windmills. Anybody else? Okay. Upcoming board events? Well, I know we have promotion
Yes, we do. Tuesday.
Tuesday.
next week.
Take notes, because
9:30.
regrettably, I won't be able to be there.
We expect a note.
A note from my
An
nurse
absence
doctor,
note, yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I have appointments in the morning. However, it's probably on YouTube, right?
It will be on YouTube.
There you go.
Thank you, Kate.
We could have a YouTube party since I'm seeing patients at that time.
Oh, there you go.
Could be fun.
I don't think we'll get away with that. Nothing else that I can think. I can't think of anything else. 12.3, date, time, location, of future meetings. Our next meeting is scheduled currently for June 11, 2026. Does that conflict with anybody?
I am good.
Nope, it's fine.
Then I have a motion, I need a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn this meeting.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor? I'm Melinda Sabrowski.
I, Fred Rushton.
I, Charlene Diaz.
Oh, I want to stay for another hour. I, Barb Zarzicki.
Hi, Sheila Burnett.
We are adjourned.